Well, we just blew the motor on this truck. Can't tell by all the white smoke and all the nasty sound. It's one of our 90, it's like a 95 GMC top kick. And it's half full, mostly full. Just blew the motor. So it's barely driving, so he's gonna try and drive it back to the shop. We'll shut it off, and this thing's totaled pretty much because it's not worth enough to fix it. The question is, can he make it across the highway and up over the railroad tracks? This will be quite a challenge. It sounds like he's only running on about 4 cylinders. So we shall see. It's about 3 o'clock, which means the traffic is starting to get worse. Near the end of the day, everything just gets worse. All right, he's going for it. See black smoke and white smoke coming out. See if he makes it. I only made it across the highway. Luckily there's no cars coming. Is he gonna make it? Oh, look at that oil. Yeah, he's blowing the motor for sure. There's a line of oil on the ground. The motor's toast. We'll give it a listen when we get back. Of course, I guess you could hear it the last one. It's just ticking like crazy. So far in the last 2 or 3 days, just pull it off to the side. Yeah, just pull it off to the side over there. Yeah, that's not good. And the other thing we've broken is this. This is our 721 case. The case loaders kind of suck, I'll be honest. We have a lot of problems with them. Basically what happened was the brakes are inside there, and one of the brake lines inside the axle broke, leaked all the fluid into the axle, filled the axle up, and blew out the wheel seal, and leaked all the wheel fluid out. So yeah, we're batting 1,000 for breakdowns during manure. We'll see if we can keep the rest of these trucks running. All right, well, because of all those things breaking yesterday between the loader and the truck, we've had to, and now I just found out this morning that the Volvo broke too. For whatever reason, it won't go into neutral, so we can't get it to start because it won't go into neutral. And all that it's just an electronic forward and reverse switch right here. So we only have this one loader. That's it. That's all we've got. And we've got 6 trucks. So we had to shift everything around a little bit to make sure that all the trucks were still running. But I'm going to be running the loader today and tomorrow, just because we have some people who aren't here, and the people who are here wanted to drive specific trucks and stuff. So we kind of shifted things around. So I am on my way out to the dairy right now, first thing in the morning, to go get into position, and we'll start loading trucks. I'm going to be super busy today because all 6 trucks are coming to me. So I'm going to have to try to make sure they're not waiting. And man, the window's starting to fog up. I'll have to see if my air will turn up a little bit more. But I have to make sure all the trucks are not waiting, and we'll try and get as much loaded and done as we can. So we're down to 1 loader, which is not ideal, but with somebody in the loader, we should be able to keep all 6 trucks pretty well busy with 1 loader. So I'm gonna get out to the dairy here. I do have my GoPro and a couple different camera mounts, so I'll try and get you guys some different angles. At least they'll all be from inside the loader. I'm not gonna put my phone or my GoPro out in the manure today. It's also super cold. Woke up this morning and it was like 36 degrees. It has also rained a little bit, so they might end up making a mess on the roads. Granted, I don't think it rained enough that the fields will be like muddy and they'll get stuck, but they might make a little bit of a mess today because it is a little wet. We're hoping that the rain didn't make the manure super sloppy, because that's usually what happens, is it'll rain and then all that water just gets mixed in with the manure. So ideally that is not the case. So we're gonna get out here and see what we're working with. And yeah, I'll try to film a few different things here and there, but I am gonna be super busy. So we will see what we get today. Might as well just keep filming while I'm on my way out, because I'm almost to the first manure area. So I'll be working in these upper two. So there's this area right here, which looks like Trevor pretty well got that one cleaned out. It looks empty, which is good, because that one is usually one of the sloppiest areas. Yeah, looks like he's got it all cleaned out except for that little corner, which looks like that's probably what they just moved in just within the last day. So there's a little bit of manure right there, but other than that, this one's pretty well clean. So I'll be working over here in this area, which is pretty freaking sloppy. So hopefully they continue to haul solid in. Looks like they've dumped the load already, so that's good to see. Yeah, I'll be mixing this in, trying to get it to be a little bit more solid. But I'm gonna start pushing, and we'll have trucks here. The trucks were getting ready as I was coming out, so we'll have trucks out here before we know it. It's a lot of poop. Okay, well, there's no trucks out here, so I figured I would show you guys how we mix. So they've brought in some solid here, and we basically just push it into the sloppy stuff and we dump it. And then we can't just push it in and dump it and leave it. We have to actually mix it up. So I'll push it in a little bit, and then I'll keep pushing it and mixing it, because I want to try and break up the solid. I want to try and break up the solid and mix it into the sloppy liquid. And I know that there's people who are like, oh, well, you should just get a slurry tank. Well, it's too solid for a slurry tank and too sloppy for a manure truck. So it's kind of in between. And the dairy actually has a slurry tank that when it gets really, really runny, they will pump that. They'll pump the slurry tank full of some of the super sloppy runny stuff, and then we'll haul what we can. But this is just a little bit too solid for a slurry tank, so we try and do our best to mix it up, make it solid. And they have, so all those corrals back there are their dry corrals, so they don't have concrete bottoms and stuff in the bottom. They're all dry corrals, so that's what they scrape out. They scrape the dry corrals out, and those dry corrals, all the manure from that is pretty solid. So they stack that up through the year, and that's what they use to mix in with all this sloppy stuff that just sits on concrete, so the water can't separate out very well. Now way over there on that side, there's a concrete wall, and there is a little hole in the wall for the water to drain out, but this isn't sloped very much, so it takes quite a while for the water to actually like sink to the bottom of the manure and then go all the way over to that side and drain out. It will work like over summer, it'll drain out, but for this that just got in here, they just scraped a bunch of this in. It's like, this is not going to be, it's not going to drain out very fast. So yeah, looks like we're gonna be working with some pretty sloppy manure today. And I don't know, I imagine what's back there against the wall in the very back is probably just as sloppy. It looks just as sloppy. So we'll see what we can do here. I'm gonna mix this in. We still don't have a truck out here yet, so I'm just gonna keep on mixing. We'll try and do what we can here. I know this is just what everybody wants to see. A bunch of cow crap. A bunch of cow manure content. That's what we're gonna get today. And probably for the next, well, I said initially, I said about 2 weeks. I was like, oh, it'll probably take 2 weeks. Well, we've been hauling for, today's Thursday, we just started Monday, and that other upper area is already empty. This one, by the end of today, there's not gonna be a ton left in here either. We'll get this cleaned up before too long. I mean, probably 2 or 3 days, this will probably be about gone. And then all we have left is the drain. If we had the other loader going, he'd be working on the drain right now, and he would probably about have that cleaned out. But since we don't have that loader going, it's gonna take a little bit longer. But I will have all the trucks here, so I don't know. It's hard to know. Hopefully they can get the other loader fixed before too long. We also, because the other loader is broken and Josh is over there because he's not in a loader today, I imagine we have a truck. If you've watched all the episodes, you'll know that we bought a manure spreader truck, an old, it's like a 1990 International, and it has a manure spreader bed on it. It's actually a pretty decent bed. It's this exact same one that we have on our International, but we have not run it. So it has a bunch of holes in it, so it needs some patches and some repairs. But I'm guessing that Christopher and Josh are probably going to work on that today, see if they can get that truck running. So if we can get one of our other loaders working, we'll run that truck too, because yesterday the engine blew up in our number 2 GMC truck. So since the engine just blew up in that one, we're down a truck. So if we can get that truck up and going, we'll be back up to 7 trucks. But I can't keep up with 7 trucks with just this one loader. So if they get that 7th truck going, they're gonna need a second loader. Normally we would just see if we could see there's the dairies loader back there in the back. They're scooping up solid right now. Normally we would just ask them if we could use their loader, but they're currently using it to make all the manure solids, so we can't use theirs. So we're just down a loader. But we'll get this mixed up, and when the trucks get out here, we'll start loading. See, it's mixing up pretty good. It's still kind of sloppy, but that solid definitely mixes in there and makes it a lot better. Hopefully we can get a lot more solid. I don't know how much solid they have back there, but I'm gonna keep mixing until I have some trucks out here. See if I can get a little different angle here and there. With the manure is I don't want to drive very far into it, because there's some stuff on the axles and things. If you get them submerged in water or manure, it stops working. So we don't want to do that. I can't go super deep into the manure, but I'll push and mix as much as I can. This loader makes it a little bit easier because we do have the joystick and we've got a thumb switch for the forward and backward. Our Volvo, you have to flip the hand switch on the other side to go forward and backward, but also there's not a joystick, it's just two levers you have to kind of flip to move it up and down and back and forth. So this is a little bit better. I'm not sure what's taking the truck so long, but I've got it about mixed as much as I can, so now we wait. All right, the trucks are here. See them coming in. We're gonna see how fast we can load them. I imagine I'm never gonna have a break, so this will be fun. Be a good day of loading manure trucks. Let's see if he can get back here without hitting me. Now most of our beds, like these old, all of our night beds, the yellow ones and the white ones are night beds, but our two BTR beds hold more. So the night beds hold about 4 scoops of nice big scoops, but the BTR beds will hold about 6 or 7. So, but when it's sloppier like this, they'll all hold a little bit more. So we'll see how much these will hold and how fast I can load them. We got 5 trucks out here all at once. Once they start getting in a cadence to the field, they won't all be all here at once. I can't load them because it is kind of sloppy and I don't want them to spill it all over the highway because they're still crossing the highway. I don't want to fill them super full or else it'll all run out. He's full. I probably could have fit part of a load back in the back of this truck, but since I've got so many trucks here waiting, I'll just send him on his way and start loading the next truck. I have a feeling that I'm going to go through all of my solid manure very quickly. Luckily, I think I can haul pretty much all the way along the front of here. Looks like it's decent. It's a little sloppier as I go this way, but should still be okay. I just can't load them super full is all. Now this field that we're going to is a pretty close haul. They don't have to drive very far. Once we get this field done, which I don't think we'll get it done today, especially being down a loader, but once we get this field done, probably tomorrow, the next field is like 2 miles away, so probably won't have probably won't have as long of, because it's a longer haul, they probably won't have to wait quite as long to load. Some of these trucks have swing gates on them on the back, so the doors aren't fixed. They kind of pivot when they go up and down. And this one looks like it's not going all the way down. It's not swinging all the way flat, so it's probably got a big gap in the front. But I'm not real sure what to do about that, unless there's just a chunk of manure underneath it. Maybe he didn't get his truck all the way empty, I'm not sure. Try to not splatter manure all over my window, because then it makes it hard for me to see what I'm doing. So these next two, so after this bed, the next two beds are they're actually, I think it's BTR, there are BTR beds, and they are about 2 feet longer than the other ones, and they're also about 9 inches deeper, so they can hold about 2 more scoops than the rest of them. So but we will get them all loaded up, send them out. There we go. It just needs some manure to push it closed. So this bed's a little bit bigger than those last two yellow or orange beds, whatever color you want to call them. So I'm going to give this one an extra scoop. Now I like to put the scoop, I don't want them heaped up in the front. If I'm going to heap them up, I'm going to heap them up in the middle or the back, because if I heap them up in the front and then they hit the brakes, all that manure just slops out the front. So I don't want to heap them up in the front, especially where this field, they're having to drive over the railroad tracks, and when they go over the railroad tracks, it's downhill on the other side. So not only are they hitting their brakes, but they're also pointed downhill, so they would spill pretty easy. So this bed and the next bed are they're bigger beds, so they can hold quite a bit more. So it'll take a little bit longer to load these ones, but we should be able to get them loaded. So we used to try and always make sure our beds were very well sealed up. Like we would put flaps all over and the doors were all nice and tight and everything. So we would actually haul, like it would look like water. It was so sloppy that it was basically water. Like it would dribble out like water. But we would haul that. And over the years, our beds have just gotten so dinged up and damaged from either the loader hitting them, or sometimes the beaters would hit the rear doors and it just mangled them to the point where none of them seal now. And then these new beds, they have bigger gaps on the doors, so we can't hold the sloppy stuff in the trucks anymore. So now we have to make sure that it is more solid than it used to be, because we used to haul extremely sloppy manure to the point where it was basically water. So I'm glad we don't haul that stuff anymore, but it's still pretty sloppy. At least this has some chunks in it to stop it from just squirting out of the track of all the cracks. Now you can already see that this bed, I've already put I think 3 or 4 loads in it, and you can't even see the manure in the back yet. So yeah, it's just a bigger bed. But we're gonna get these guys loaded up. I'll probably bring you back later in the day when it's a little bit brighter. It's first thing in the morning right now, so it's kind of dark. Later in the day it'll be a little bit brighter, and maybe you'll be able to see a little bit better what I'm doing. Well, you guys are probably wondering what the thumbnail means of this video about I quit. I'm done. Well, I'll just start off by saying I'm not done farming and I'm not done with YouTube. I will keep making videos for you guys and I will keep farming. What I am done with, I'm done with the Shopify store. I'm done with merch. For now. For now, it isn't making sense. The Shopify store has kind of been a disaster. I thought it was going to be kind of straightforward and pretty simple. And for the most part, people ordering things and getting their orders, that has been simple. It has been good. It's been working pretty seamlessly. But leave it to the government to ruin everything because, well, I mean, the government ruins everything all the time. Yeah, I have had so many problems with the tax side of the Shopify store, with having to get a sales tax license in like every state, because it's an online store. Every state has a little bit different requirements as far as how much you have to sell in order to get a sales tax license. Whereas like Idaho, where I'm at, the first sale I did in Idaho, I was supposed to have a license to collect sales tax and all this stuff. So it's just been a nightmare trying to juggle everything, all the different tax things. And then also, I know there's one of you, at least one, who watches from Norway, and I appreciate that, and I'm glad you're able to watch. And you ordered some merch, and I'm glad you did, and I hope you get it. I think it should be getting there. You probably already have it by the time this video's come out. But apparently, if I sell merch to Europe, there's a pretty substantial tariff on things coming out of the United States. So I've literally made nothing. All of the merch that I've sold this entire year, I have not made anything on it. All of the profit that I would have made went to the cost of like having a Shopify store. There's a monthly cost to me just to have the store. So the cost of having the store, as well as all the sales tax, and that order to Norway, I'm so glad you ordered, and I really hope you get your merch, and I hope you like it. I made 60 cents. All the taxes and everything, they literally took everything. There was zero profit on my end from that order. So that's what I'm done with. I'm done with the Shopify store. I'm done with merch. If you got merch, awesome. If you didn't get merch, I'm sorry. I'm sure that when the channel gets bigger, we're going to keep growing the channel. We're going to keep doing our best to make good content for you guys. And when the channel does get bigger, we will probably open the merch store back up. So, and if you're somebody who really wants merch and we're sad that you didn't get any before I close the store down, I can still get you some merch. Just because I'm closing the Shopify store down doesn't mean that I can't get the merch. I can still get the merch. I just can't have a storefront and sell it to you. So if you really want merch, just send me an email. My email's in the channel description. Send me an email saying, hey, I really want merch. And I'm pretty sure I can get a list of what we can get. And we'll work it out. And we'll get you some merch. So if you really want merch still, let me know through email and we'll go that route. But having the Shopify store open has just been a hassle and a lot more stress on me. And with having to farm and make YouTube videos and edit videos and try to make sure I'm making good content, having the extra stress of a Shopify store and all the taxes and all the crap that comes along with, has just made my life a lot more stressful. And that's not what I'm about. I'm about trying to reduce stress, and yeah, removing the Shopify store is going to do that. So if you want merch, send me an email and I will try to send you a list of what we have, and we'll go that route. So that's what I'm done with. So I hope you enjoy the videos. We'll keep loading trucks. Well, I hit a vein. There's water running out from behind. That's just standing water right there. That's kind of where it's running out from. Not a whole lot I can do. It's just flooding into the manure area. We'll keep on going, see what we can do to keep it solid. But I hit a vein. All right, well, it's slowed down a bit. So if you can see behind me right here, Josh got the Volvo working again. So he's down there in the lower area, and he's got 3 trucks with him. So now we each have 3. So it's not quite as rushed. Man, for a while there was just like constant non-stop loading trucks. I never had to wait for a truck. It was just go, go, go. But on the bright side, check this out. We've got a lot of manure out of here. When I started this morning, it was all about here. So we worked this whole middle section all the way back. Now this is too sloppy. We'll have to mix some stuff in, but worked all that all the way back. I'm currently working right here and to that side. And then, yeah, Josh is way down there in the Volvo on the lower area. And what's crazy is this bit, man, my finger's gonna be big, right here, all has to be hauled out, and it's about 20 feet deep of manure. And right now it's too sloppy. Josh is trying to work his way back into there, but he's got a lot to take out before he can even get to that. So yeah, needless to say, there's a lot of manure to haul. It's after lunch now. The trucks just got in here. They're headed this way, so we'll start loading some trucks. It's a little bit brighter now. It's not quite as dark. I am running a little low on the solid manure though. I'm hoping that when I get closer to the wall, the back will be a little bit more solid, but I kind of doubt it. What's crazy is all the manure in this whole manure area, all of it was cleaned out about 2 months ago, maybe less than 2 months ago. We hauled it right after, we hauled all the manure after we harvested our wheat. So it didn't take very long for them to accumulate this much manure, because this area was completely empty probably less than 2 months ago, which is kind of crazy. Cows produce a lot of poop, but that poop is good fertilizer. Now we haul about 4,000 loads of manure every year. We haul in the spring. That's the first thing we do once the ground starts to thaw out and not be muddy. We haul in the spring, we haul in the fall right now, and then we also haul right after wheat. So we'll start hauling after wheat, start covering some of our ground, using all the stuff that they've been storing all summer long. We used to haul in the middle of the winter, so we would haul in about January or February. We would haul, and that was okay. The manure was usually frozen, so it actually hauled pretty good. The problem with hauling in the winter time is the ground is also frozen. So not only can you not disc the manure in, but the fields are so rough. Because like right now when we're driving through the fields, the trucks kind of sink into the ground and it's not that rough. It's fairly smooth. But in the winter, if you haul, it's like driving on a washboard. It's so rough and bumpy that I think it was about 2 years ago, we finally decided we weren't going to haul in the winter anymore, because we had a winter where we had too much snow and we just weren't able to haul. So because of that, we didn't haul in the winter that year. They were able to store it until spring, and the trucks didn't get beat up. So usually when we haul in the winter, we'll break leaf springs and we just break a ton of stuff because it's so rough that it just balances you. It balances everything to death and just destroys everything. So yeah, for the last couple of years, we've told them that we're not going to haul in the winter just because it's just too hard on the trucks. It's too hard on all the equipment. Let alone, these are diesel trucks. So diesel also gels in the wintertime. Granted, we do put anti-gel in, so that's not the biggest issue. But the biggest issue is all these trucks have air brakes. So what was the main problem is usually in January we call it the January thaw. There's like a 2-week period in January where it'll get just above freezing. So that's usually when we would haul, but the problem is the trucks have air brakes and there's water that gets in there from the compressor and the brakes freeze up. So we don't like hauling in the winter because you'll be out in the field driving around, and then all of a sudden your brakes don't work or your brakes freeze up and you can't move and you have to be pulled back to the shop, and it's just a pain in the butt. It's like just running all this equipment in the wintertime just is not great. Let alone half the trucks, the heaters and air conditioners don't work, and it's usually freezing cold. So if you get a truck that doesn't have good working heater, or the loader's heaters don't work, then you're just freezing to death all day. So yeah, it's not ideal to haul in the wintertime. So we quit doing that. The one thing they do build up a lot of manure in the wintertime because it's about, let's see, we haul now and it's almost end of October. And then we won't haul for November, December, January, February, March. We might, sometimes in March, it'll start to warm up and we can start hauling. So, but they have about at least 4 or 5 months where they have to store all the manure. Where they normally only store it for about 2 or 3 months, then we haul it out. So they have a lot of manure that they have to store in the wintertime. The one benefit of storing manure in the wintertime is it freezes. So right now, all this manure is just sloppy manure. And it's only about 2 or 3 feet deep at the most. So it's 2 to 3 feet deep, slop. Well, and that makes it so it fills up the whole area with just sloppy manure that's only a couple feet deep. Well, in the wintertime, it freezes, and they come out here every day, and if it gets below, it has to get, because manure has a lot of salt in it, it's really salty, so it does have to get below 32. It has to actually get down into like the teens, like the low teens, or the single digits. So if it gets down below like, we'll say 15 degrees, they can push up the manure and have there will be like 4 to 5 inch frozen layers, and they'll push it up, mix it in, and it'll actually be just frozen solid. So if they come out and manage it all winter long, pushing it up, they can get the manure to freeze up solid, so they can actually stack. So instead of it being 3 to 4 feet deep or 2 feet deep, it'll be 15 feet deep. It'll be as tall as the loader can possibly reach. So it'll be a 15 to 20 foot pile in the spring. So if you want to check that out, make sure to keep watching, because come springtime, we'll be out here hauling huge piles of frozen manure. We usually will get in and we'll find some watery patches and hit it, and a huge geyser will come running out, and I'll actually show you one of those right here. So right there is what I'm talking about. See that? That's just water, and it's probably the full depth. It's probably about 2 to 3 feet of just water right there. That little water pocket. Now it's being held back there by all this manure in front of it, but as soon as I go to start moving this manure, it's going to run out and just make everything way more sloppy. Part of it broke earlier right there, so there's a little bit of a wet slick right there. But so the idea with this manure is all the water will settle, and it is kind of sloped to the back, these manure areas, and there's grooves in the concrete. So ideally the water is supposed to settle to the bottom and then slowly work its way to the back and then go all the way over here. It's slowly sloped this way. Over there in the corner, there's a concrete wall here, but there's also a concrete wall right here. Well, right here in the corner, there's a hole in the wall where all the water is just supposed to go and then drain out. And right there's the drain, and it goes and filters through the weeping wall, and then it goes under the road into the lagoon, which is over there. There's a big lagoon on the other side of those grain bins. And that's where we pump the liquid manure, the lagoon water. We pump that all the way down to our main station, and we can put that lagoon water on 4 different fields. There's 4 fields that water out of that spot. So we pump it down there and we can put it on a whole bunch of fields. So we can cover a whole bunch of ground with that lagoon water. And it's okay. It's okay fertilizer. We thought it was better than it was. We had it tested and it actually isn't that great. Like, there isn't a whole lot of value in the lagoon water. But the manure, the fields that we spread manure on, so when we spread in the spring, we put all the manure on our fields that are going to be going into wheat. Well, if we cover a field with manure and then plant it in wheat, the fertilizer from that manure is good enough that we don't have to put any commercial fertilizer on at all. So there is quite a bit of value in the manure. And then the manure actually has a residual. It builds up the soil, and you'll get residual benefits from the manure for a decade, even if you haul just one time. They did a test. They did a study where they tested a field, they hauled manure on it, and they tested that field every year. They hauled on it one time, tested that field every year for a decade. A university did it. And even after a decade, they were still finding benefit in that manure. So it's definitely something we'd like to put out on our fields. It helps build up the soil. And also over here, that pile of dirt right there is potato dirt. So that's dirt that we brought over here to the dairy when we were harvesting potatoes, and they'll take it and they'll put it out here in their dry corrals on the ground to help fill in holes and stuff. And we'll end up scraping it back out, and that potato dirt will end up back out in the fields. But the manure, all this manure is basically replacing all that dirt. I know we had some of you asking, well, why don't you put the dirt back in the field where it came from so you're not taking your topsoil? Well, we put 4,000 loads of manure back in the field. So we're replacing that topsoil with manure, which is better than topsoil. So yeah, we're actually adding. We put more in than we take out. So we've never been worried about running out of topsoil. But yeah, that's what that pile of dirt right there is. Okay, so I've been working this back. We've actually got it back to the wall right here. And I kind of broke this little dam to mix it in. And there's a whole bunch of water right here. You can actually see it's flowing back right there. It's flowing back in. So this is where we push the water out between the concrete here, and it goes down. This is the drain. So there's actually a channel that goes from where Josh is at right over here all the way through right here. And then there's a little spot in the dirt wall. There's a dirt wall on the other side over there where it goes through over to that side. Believe it or not, there's 2 separate areas right here. And then the water slowly drains through to the lagoon. So I've just been trying to push the water out because it keeps getting in here and making all my poop sloppy. And nobody likes sloppy poop. So I try pushing it out, but the drain is higher than where I'm actually sitting right here. So I push it out and it just runs right back in. So I don't know how solid I'll be able to make this little spot right here. I may not get this corner hauled just because it is so sloppy and I can't make it more solid because I can't get the stinking water out of here. But yeah, that's the predicament I'm in right now. I may go back to the other side and start hauling from the other end. Okay, I know it's really hard to see, but I'm leaking hydraulic oil. You can't really see it. There's a hose right there on the bucket that whenever it gets pressure on it, because you can kind of see it dripping down. Man, my window, it's like I have a dirty window or something. You can't see anything. Anyway, I got a leaky hydraulic line on my bucket. I'm gonna go see if I can figure it out. This might just be the end of the day for me because it's almost quitting time anyway. All right. So it's this top hose right here. It's leaking out just from underneath the edge of the piece. But this hose, luckily, just goes from there to right up here. So it shouldn't be too, it's not even these. It hooks, there's a joint right there. So shouldn't be super hard to change. I've just got to get it off and then take it up, have it fixed. They might even just be able to cut that off and put a new end on it. There's plenty of slack there, so we'll get it off. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm on my way home now. Got to go to a trunk or treat with the family, so that'll be fun. I did not get the loader fixed. The place that fixes the hoses is closed, so we'll go get that fixed first thing in the morning. Make sure you go down below and comment and hit that subscribe button if you like the content. Share it with a friend. I love you. See you in the next one.